Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the brand new Playmates toys, Voltron, the Legendary Defender, Legendary Green Lion. Already had a look at the left, or in this case the red line. We already had a look at that. Figured we'd look at the other arm first, or the other arm, and then we would look at the legs. So in this case, the other arm being the Green Lion. This is also coming to us from the new Netflix series, Voltron the Legendary Defender. With all 5 lines, you can build yourself a very impressive 16-inch Voltron. And again, looking very forward to that. I think 16 inches is a good reasonable size. Anything taller than 16 inches would, I think, be a little bit too much. That I think they've picked appropriate sizing for these lines and equally so the Voltron. There's a warning: choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years of age. Come to us from the folks over at Playmates Toys. The underside of the package, just before we flip it around, the lines consist of course, the Legendary Blue Line, Legendary Red Line, Legendary Black Line, Legendary Green Line, and finally, the Legendary Yellow Lion. To check out more from the folks over at Playmates Toys, www.playmatestoys.com. That's the destination for you. Spin around then the back of the package. As for the read-up, it says Legendary Green Line, representing the power of nature. The Green Line guards and protects by creating Voltron's shield. There's also a fire vine beam in the very similar nature to the red line that had the launching missile. You can also collect the green line and red line to form Voltron's sword, which we'll be able to do in this video as well. Here's a quick glance as to what the completed Voltron is going to look like. And finally, it also includes a speeder with pilot Pidge. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to have a look at the Legendary Green Lion from the Voltron Legendary Defender series. There's more heading away, guys. Don't go anywhere. Alright, so now that we've got the Green Lion out of packaging, a couple of things that I didn't show you with the red line. One of the things that Playmates does include with these is instruction guides. So if you thought that Spot was just winging it, trying to figure out how to transform the lion into its arm, the instructions are very clearly indicated here as to how to do that. Also included, we'll put that to the side, also included, you get a pamphlet or brochure guide. You know how I love these. Showing you some of the toys that Playmates are releasing for the actual Voltron line. So we've got Red Line Defender gear, Voltron Defender gear as well. Then you've got an actual role-playing sword, blazing sword. The lines that we're looking at obviously in this review. And then the back of the package, the interactive lines, each one having its own like little gimmick, and a couple of gimmick Voltrons, little smaller Voltrons. And then there's also an Ultimate Voltron, which doesn't appear to have transforming capabilities like the one that we see here. This is basically more like an action figure Voltron that does have lights and sounds. Actually, wouldn't mind getting that as well. So we'll just fold up the pamphlet. I always like holding on to these. We'll put that to the side. Alright, so we've got our Green Line, we've got our back missile launching attachment, we've got the shield that's actually currently on there as well, we've got the speeder, and we've got the component for the blazing sword. I think before we look at everything else, we're going to look at the sword portion of the lion first. The lion does include 1/2 of the blazing sword. The other half would come with the red line that we already had a look at, which is kind of why I also want to do the red line and green line first, so we could look at the fully built blazing sword. So the blazing sword top portion is a gray, black, and a little bit of red accents there. And there is a little, I shouldn't say little, there's a considerable slot on the underside here. I want to simply take the other part of the blazing sword, which I'm still disappointed that has that little, I'm sure I could scrape that off, just a little bit of like yellow paint on the tip there. Well, what you do is take it basically and measure it from the end so that the handle portion is on a continual angle from this section here. So see how it kind of goes up like this? You want to make sure that this is lined up to the back. And then from there, best place to start is just right where the handle is, and then just kind of wedge everything over top. Everything sits well into place. There we go. Just want to move it forward just a little bit here. There we go. And you've got yourself the Blazing Sword. It does have a little bit of a gap, unfortunately, here, which is just a matter of just kind of warping it back into place. It does leave a little bit of gap, but I think it's actually supposed to be there. And there you have the Blazing Sword. Looking pretty snazzy also, I might add. Let's see if we can maybe bring it in just a little bit forward. Maybe we can get rid of that gap. It's still got a little bit of the gap, but there's the Blazing Sword. I guess it really should have that little tip portion to it, because even in the images, that little ledge sticks up just a little bit. So I guess that is correct. There's the Blazing Sword, all ready for Voltron's hand to be holding it. No, wait, that's actually a lightsaber. Pretty cool, though. Pretty cool. We'll put that to the side. Okay, so the other thing that comes with the green line, like the red line has its own part of the sword, the green line also comes included with Voltron's shield. Just take that right off. The shield is nicely colored. The plastic has been painted, or the plastic is molded to a slight off gray, but then they paint a very dark, stark black and a nice gold accent on the front. A little handle there on the end, and we'll get that into Voltron's hand again when we fully assemble him. We'll put that to the side. Also included, much like the red line, there is a little green line speeder, which I thought actually was going to be similar to the red line, but it is a different sculpted speeder, which is nice. Very nice in the green, the blue, and the black, matching to that the colors of the lion. And like the red, you just want to move the legs forward, take the little latch on the underside of the lion, get your fingernail in there, which is sometimes difficult, and it very easily, line it up. There's an outline there really showing you where the speeder is going to go. This fits right in. A snug fit, it doesn't go anywhere. The Blizzard test from Dairy Queen, they always do this with their Blizzard. See, it's not going anywhere. And then this closes up at the bottom. The other thing that the red line came with, and the green line has a variation to that, is a top missile launching a gun here. This does rotate, and there's a little peg hole on the underside here. Just take the blue firing launching missile here, and this just slides into place like that and snaps in. And then from there, you just press the button on the top. It's a hair trigger. I barely had to touch it, and it propelled the missile across the room. Not quite across the room, but you get the idea. So just peg that into place. Then you can go to the hole here. There's a little hole at the top of the line, and that snaps just into place. And through the process, I knew I would fire the missile. It's gone across the room. And this part here rotates. And you can, if you want to display the lines, I mean, it's entirely up to you. If you want to display the lines non-Voltron mode, it's a good way to just kind of give extra uniqueness to each line. Case in point, we'll put the green line here, reach off camera and grab the red line that we've already had a look at. You'll see that the missile launchings on the top portions of the line are different from one another, again, making the lines very unique and different. Even though the lines do vary in slight mold differences, like the green line will have a slight more longer head than that of the red line. The bodies are very similar to one another, almost identical, slightly identical, I guess, in that way. But I guess, like, at least the head and the missile launching apparatuses do differentiate the lines from one another. There is also a section on the back of the green line that was not on the red line. There's a little hole here. You can take the shield, and I think the shield can actually fit still on the lion. I have not actually checked this. Yeah, sure enough, the shield can go to the back here. It's not really, I guess it's not really something you have to put on there, but they do put a little hole on there that if you want to add the shield. I wonder if it goes the other way. No, it'd be too long. All right, so there is the green lion. Let's move the red line out of the way. We've already had a look at that. By all means, if you guys haven't had a chance to check out the red line review, go check it out afterwards after we finish up shop here with the green line. The green line, much like the red line, looks beautiful. Coloring is nice and vibrant. The whites are nice and clean. I don't see a lot of imperfections at all. It does also have the spring trap mouth, similar to the red line. Construction-wise, it's basically almost the same. As you can see, when we compared the two, there are slight variations in just some of the lining and the way that the body is constructed. But for the most part, the bodies are almost, I don't want to say almost identical, but because again, if we look to the Red Lion, the construction is the same, but again, it's just slightly different from one another. The articulation, as you could probably guess, is exactly the same also to the Red Lion. The head rotates all the way around. Wish it did hinge kind of up and down as well. I mean, that's the one restriction that I wish was incorporated into the Green Line. We'll just take this off for the time being. We'll put that there. The legs do rotate back and forth. Nice ratcheted joints. Ratcheted joints also in the mid portion of the leg, as well as ratchet in the lower paw portions of the legs as well. The hind legs ratchet, nice clickety click. I love a clickety ratchet joint. This ratchets back and forth. And this section here also, again, this is the only section. It looks like it should be ratcheted, but it doesn't make any of the ratcheted noise when moving the legs. And we could just bring that out completely. There we go. Didn't have it completely out when we were looking at the Lion. The back section here does rotate only by virtue of the fact that it's going to be eventually an arm. And the tail, one little nitpick, and it's not something that could be helped. The tail does have a bad history of sliding in, because there's really nothing, there's no friction, there's nothing holding the tail out other than gravity, that when you bang it, the tail does go in quite frequently. A very small nitpick, nothing that bothers me over, not too much. All right, so there's the Green Lion. Let's go ahead and get him into arm mode, which if you saw the review of the Red Lion, you didn't, go check it out. Well, don't check it out yet, go check it out after this review. But the construction and the way that you make the arm is exactly identical to the Red Lion. So I usually just start the back. You can start at the front if you prefer, but I'm going to start the back. I'm going to fold in the legs like that. Fold these sections into the hind portions of the legs, and then you can bring these forward. Straighten out the leg, or straighten out the torso if you so wish, the back section of the line. And then the tail fits all the way in. Doesn't always fit in though. It does go to about this point, and then it seems to want to pop itself back out a little bit. Then the more confusing aspect of it, the more patient end of it, where you have to change or have to get the legs in, simply just take the top portion of the lion's torso and bring this up. It doesn't really allot for a lot of clearance here to get this much further back, but it's enough that you can bring the legs back and just adjust the feet as well. Bring the other leg back, bring them around, and then these will come forward, and as you bring them forward, tuck. This little section has about an allotment about that much. Bring these in, like so, and there we go. Bring it up and tuck these in. It's about the only nerve-wracking aspect to this, but you bring those in, and then once they're tucked in, you kind of have to get the feet tucked back so that the legs sit more on an angle, because then that will allow you to close this. And as you can see, I slightly got it off. If you have it just a little bit off, it won't close. So patience, like I said, patience is a virtue, and then you can finally close up the top here to give us the arm. From this standpoint, go ahead and reach to the back, bring out the connector point, like that, and bring that out all in its entirety. And then this will just snap on to the black line, which I think we'll look at last. From here, your articulation, you have the arm that moves in and out. You can also rotate it. And this can also open and close for holding the sword. So there is the Green Lion. We've done the Red Lion, we've done the Green Lion. Now we'll have a look at the legs, then we'll have a look at, I think, the Black Lion as the final figure. Overall, I think Playmates has done an outstanding job on these. I think they've really upped their game for giving us Voltron releases. There could have been a line that could have really tanked, and I think they could have just phoned in a Voltron line. Something that, for bare minimum, they could have lines that just form together, but I think they really did a little extra care to these. The inclusion of the speeder is a nice touch, the missile launcher is a nice touch. You do feel like you get a good money's worth out of buying these figures. The only downside is I wish that these were more available in Canada, so Spot didn't have to buy these online. Today's Toy Spot, though, we're continuing our looks at the new Voltron figures. This was the other arm, or in this case, this was the green lion. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's got the review of the blue lion, the review of the yellow lion, and of course, the review of the black lion. Those 3 videos will coming your way very soon. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.